So we had been making music together since high school, but
Mostly beats and production and instrumental stuff.
yeah, and then we decided to write one song called Mercury Tears. It's the first time we wrote something with lyrics and like melodies and
And a classic song structure.
mhm.
Verse, chorus, pre-bridge,
I
a real
came,
song, yeah.
yeah, I came up with the melody and the lyrics, and we literally did not know what we were doing. I think I sang the whole thing on a vocoder,
Yeah.
and that was that. That's on our first album. I think originality is a complete myth. I don't believe in it. We don't believe in it. I don't think it's important at all. I think that the best thing you can do is try to pay tribute to the people that have influenced you. And if we can come anywhere close to Prince or Daryl Hall's knee or calf, we've done a great job. If we could be a footnote in the history of funk music, we've done a great job. Being original, I mean, it's a weird concept. I think it's an overblown concept. Like the Rolling Stones never thought they were original. They just loved blues, and they were blues fanatics. They studied it. They learned all those records by heart, and then they went ahead and made their own version of that. And
all our idols' music is reinterpretation of their idols.
exactly.
Prince included, Parliament included,
Yeah.
Hall & Oates included.
And-
They're all reinterpreting their idols, and that's what we're doing now.
Yeah,
Paying the best
but-
tribute we can.
Exactly, or Daft Punk, like Daft Punk are like two French kids that came up on Chicago House and Detroit Techno, and they made their little French version of that. And it happens to be original because you're recontextualizing it. The fact that we're two French kids from Canada, from immigrant families that are giving their own interpretation of funk music makes it original or interesting. But we're not trying to invent something. We're just trying to pay tribute to the music that made us feel excited the first time we heard it, I feel like we found our voice as Chromeo on our second album,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah. The first album, we didn't know what we were doing.
Well, we found the voice on Needy Girl, and then we found a voice on the second album.
Yeah.
But
Or
Dave
vice
was,
versa.
Yeah, Dave was never a singer before we decided to do Needy Girl, and that's when we were like, okay, you're the lead singer. That's
it.
what it is. We found the voice.
Yeah, and then
And
a
then
voice.
A voice meaning, representing everything that we represent. I think our whole concept came together on the second album.
The Chromeo character, the Chromeo persona, the aesthetic, the approach, the sensibility, that just sort of gelled on the second record. And that's where, again, we wanted this music to reflect us for who we were and to be an honest representation of who we are as people. So it was that sort of dichotomy between our influences, 70s, 80s music, and then the hip hop that we grew up listening to in the 90s, and then also just our characters. We've got a sense of humor, we're very humble, we're sort of like, self-deprecating in a way, but also there's like a little bit of hip hop swag in there, and it just blended together. And it came together on the second record that actually just came out 10 years ago. We're on the 10th anniversary of that, and we've been developing that ever since, I guess. All our music is it follows this continuum. There's no rupture, really. We just try to improve on what we last did. So all the influences are the same. In a way, there's kind of a return to funk music, just like kind of muscular funk tunes on this album. And this record was made a little bit more collaboratively than the previous ones.
The main difference is opening the doors to our studio and letting people in.
Yeah, there's more guests on this record, whether it be people that are on the songs or, featured vocalists or featured session musicians. There's a little bit more of that, and we got to, bridge some generation gaps between, artists from today that we really love that are featured on some songs, but also session musicians that we've admired forever or that play on our favorite records that are playing alongside us on some songs, and other songwriters and producers that came in and wrote with us. So I guess that's the difference, but hopefully you can't really hear any of that, and it just feels like kind of the best version of Chromeo possible. Working with The Dream was always a goal for us because in our minds he was always like almost like a modern day Prince, and we always, you know, admired him as like an auteur, you know, because he's obviously he himself is a writer producer, but he sort of created a whole genre, and he himself he's got like all these funk songs that are deep cuts on his albums, and we always loved them. So for us to make a song like that with him was really cool.
And speaking of Prince, we also had Jesse Johnson playing guitar on one joint, which that was also a personal, like, all right, you know.
Because when we saw him play with D'Angelo, we were like, oh, we got to get him, you know. Yeah. And there's a bunch of other cats on there. There's still a couple of features that we're locking in. So I feel like everybody that's featured on the record is, you know, there's no gratuitous, oh, let's just put that person on the track because the label said so or anything like that. It all comes from the impulse of, you know, the band, P and I, really deciding on someone and making that person fit within the Chromeo universe. So. Well, we've always done our own thing, and I think, you know, we came up with a new generation of electronic music 10 years ago in North America, when that whole space was beginning to open up here. And so we'll always be part of that. And, you know, a lot of what we do has spread through electronic music blogs and electronic music remix culture, and we always get remixes of our songs by, like, you know, DJs and producers in the electronic space. So that's very much a part of what we do. We play electronic music festivals. I mean, we're a live band, but it's dance music. It's music to dance to. Even though our stuff is more funky and more, you know, sort of indebted to 80s drum machine music, it's still dance music in the widest sense. So, I mean, we don't, you know, we couldn't name you a lot of the songs that you might have heard at that party. It's not really what we listen to on a daily, but there's a lot of that stuff we respect on an engineering level. For instance, you know, like if we hear a Skrillex record, like the engineering on that is incredible, and there's technical
sound design
on there.
Soundcraft.
It's
all
cool.
great stuff.
And then on another hand, we also cut our teeth touring the indie circuit. You know, one was the first tour we ever were on. Actually, we were second out of 3, and Arcade Fire was playing before us. So we know that circuit really well. We've always wanted to tour like a band. We are a band on tour. We play band venues. We play live. So we've been able to kind of straddle both. And, you know, these shifts happen culturally. I mean, now I don't even know what indie rock is now. What is it? There's not a lot of bands left. I mean, there's a few, but it's, as it happens now, it's really just about, it's not even so much about electronic, it's really about hip hop now. I mean, that's really what streams the most, it's what sells the most, and it's we love that stuff. The music we grew up listening to. I mean, we listen to all the new stuff too. But those things change, and when you've had a career that is over 10 years long, you sort of learn to kind of just keep doing your own thing, and right?
Yeah. You know, you have your parallel line and you just look sideways and, oh, I like this is great, oh, I love this, and you just incorporate stuff.
Or find things that are influence, influence.
Or find similar lines and similar influences, because
exactly,
you know, the DJs from nowadays, they still listen to the same music. We have the same pool of references. They just interpret it in a different way than we would have done 10 years ago or even today.
Yeah, and if they come from somewhere else, like some of those DJs come from like a drum and bass world, or even like an emo world, which we know nothing about, there's interesting stuff in there. You know, I mean, now, look, it's when our last album came out, it was all about EDM. When the third album came out, it was all about indie. When the second album came out, it was all about really hard electro. When our first album came out, it was all about, you know, New York rock. Now it's all about, you know, Little Uzi. First of all, we love all of it, and second of all, it changes nothing to what we do. So it's all good.
It can only bring to us.
Yeah.
It can only give us more stuff to just, you know, incorporate and get inspired off
And
of.
it makes us stand out, probably. I mean, we don't really preach about our music like, oh, you need to take this away or take
There's
that
no
away.
lesson to be learned, really.
It's funk music. You dance to it.
We do the homework, we learn stuff for you, and then you just take it and enjoy.
Yeah, just enjoy it. It's like I mean, if you're like a music nerd, you're gonna find a ton of references and a ton of very expensive chords and 13ths and sus2s and all that stuff that we put in there just for fun. And if you just like to have a good time, you just listen to it, laugh at the lyrics. We'll entertain you. We'll put out videos to entertain you. We entertain ourselves. It's fun. It's funny, and just enjoy it. It doesn't. I mean, it works on different levels, but it should never be us being like, oh, you need to listen to this, and this will make you a better person. And like music is it's the absence. Like when you listen to music, the experience is almost like it's a visceral thing. You don't really think about it, or you don't rationalize it. It's just that feeling it gives you, especially beat-driven music and funk music. It's what the drum pocket does to you. Like it ain't,
And the instruments and the guitar, but really we're just, at your service.
Yeah. Well, there's the way we have the computer set up, there's 2 mice and 2 keyboards. So we're both on the mouse and on the keyboard at the same time. Like the way P set it up, it's like there's 2. So we both are working side by side on the same computer. So we can both control the mouse and type stuff or move stuff. So, we got to coordinate, because if he's doing something and I come in, I can move his mouse and vice versa.
And
so
we
really
can
have to
lose
take turns.
stuff and accidentally delete things.
Yeah, we really have to take turns. I don't know anyone else that's got like 2 keyboards and 2 mice on one computer. Like that's some real,
We also have 2 chairs, and we have different heights of chairs. And then when he sits in my chair,
it's more. Yeah, I hate it because his piece chair is too low. So, like there's a lot of that going on. And this is the first time we have our own studio where we can record everything, and it's a gift and a curse, because that means we can redo a song 18 times. We never had that luxury before. I do think it's for the better, but it definitely has made this record more labored over. Ultimately, I think that's for the best, because even though our music is, it can be interpreted as something really like sort of like light and fun, there's a ton of work that goes into it to give it substance. Again, for the music nerds, We've had to forfeit all house rules.
There's no Step Brothers moments, but I mean, keep your shoes on, no bare feet.
No, but if Jason Evigan wants to not wear shoes, the problem is like we've had to forfeit everything, because some people, we don't really smoke in here, but some people came in smoking, drinking. It was either it's us or them, when there's a guest, we kind of let them rock with it, and then we'll just clean up afterwards. I mean, usually we look at each other like, oh boy, but we just let them rock because we need what they bring. So. One of the friends that we rent a roof to, he makes a mess in the kitchen, but he's our boy, so it's like, I mean, we got to give him a shout out because that's our boy, but like he doesn't know, he always leaves his like packs of Splenda. First of all, who uses Splenda? On the counter, and then P does this thing where he put like an empty glass to see if he would like put the Splendas in the glass, but like still not throw them out. So P does mind games with him and stuff. It doesn't really get deeper than that. That's really it.